Right, lads, gather round, get yourself a brew, or maybe even a wheat dram, because this one's going to be a belter. Welcome back to the channel where we talk all things Rangers, the real talk, nay fluff just straight up football chat. And today we've got a fair bit to unpack. We're diving into the latest on who could be the next man to take the reins at Ibrox. And the name that's got everybody buzzing, is none other than David Ancelotti. That's right, the son of the godfather of football management himself, Carlo Ancelotti. Let that sink in for a second. Now, before we all get ahead of ourselves, dreaming of European glory nights and lifting silverware, let's just take a moment to appreciate who we're talking about here. Carlo Ancelotti's name alone carries a weight that few others in football can match. This is a man who's managed Milan, Madrid, Bayern Munich, Napoli, Chelsea, PSG. The list goes on. He's won Champions League's domestic titles and has been part of some of the most iconic teams the game's ever seen. And now his son's name is being thrown into the hat for the Rangers job. It's the sort of story that writes itself, isn't it? But look, I know what some of you are already thinking. It's just the name he's riding his father's coattails. Fair point, lads, fair point. But let's not be so quick to judge. Every manager has to start somewhere. Remember when Mourinho was just Bobby Robson's translator? Look how that turned out. And David Ancelotti, to be fair, hasn't exactly been sitting around living off the family name. He's been putting in the graft, learning the ropes at some of the biggest clubs in world football. PSG, Bayern Munich, Napoli, and of course Real Madrid. That's no small-time apprenticeship. He's not just there for the ride. The lad's taking on serious responsibilities. Fitness coach, assistant manager, tactical analyst. He's worked with top-tier players, the likes of Modric, Kroos, Benzema, now Bellingham and Vinny Jr. This is a guy who's been in the thick of it, learning from the very best in the business day in and day out. That kind of experience is priceless, and you can't dismiss it just because he shares the last name with his dad. Now, while we're on the topic of Rangers managers, it'd be rude not to bring up Barry Ferguson. Good old Barry's been making the rounds, voicing his frustration about the lack of respect he feels he's getting. He's gone as far as saying that if he were a foreign manager, folk would be looking at him differently. Now, Barry's a Rangers legend as a player, no question about it. He gave his all on the pitch, led by example, and bled blue. But management is a different beast altogether. Let's be honest here, Barry's managerial record doesn't exactly scream next Rangers gaffer. His win percentage sits somewhere around 32%, and overall his career average is hovering at 42%. For a club like Rangers, that's just not cutting it. We're a club that demands excellence, expects to win week in, week out, and push for titles. A Rangers manager should be looking at win rates in the region of 70 to 80%, not scraping by with numbers that wouldn't look out of place in the lower leagues. And yet Barry's out here saying he's not getting respect because of his nationality. Sorry, Barry, but I don't buy it. Respect in football, especially at this level, is earned through results, not passport details. Just ask guys like Felipe Clement, who by the end of his time at Rangers wasn't exactly being showered with praise. Or Pedro Caixinha, who despite his Portuguese background didn't exactly win over the Ibrox faithful. Being foreign is no guarantee of admiration, not when results are lacking. The truth is, fans see through the noise. They care about what happens on the pitch. It doesn't matter if you're Scottish, Belgian, French, Martian. If you're not delivering, the fans will let you know. Rangers supporters are some of the most passionate and demanding in football. They want to see progress fight, and most importantly, silverware. So Barry's claim that his struggles are down to his nationality feels more like a deflection than an honest assessment. Back to David Ancelotti. A lot of people are skeptical because he hasn't been a head coach yet. And fair enough, the Scottish game is a unique challenge with its own intensity and rivalries. But let's not pretend he's unfamiliar with that kind of atmosphere. He's worked in the English Premier League with Everton. And I know Everton aren't exactly setting the world alight, but he's been part of those Merseyside derbies. He knows what it's like when the stakes are high and the crowd's on top of you. Add to that his experience with Real Madrid and the madness of El Clasico, and you start to see the picture. It's not about having worked in Scotland specifically. It's about understanding pressure expectation and how to manage in high-stakes environments. And David Ancelotti has been in the thick of that. He's no stranger to handling big personalities, to navigating the politics of top-tier football. That experience, even as an assistant, counts for a lot. There's also the fresh perspective he could bring Football's evolving, and sometimes bringing in someone from outside the usual Scottish football bubble is exactly what's needed. Look at the success stories of managers who started in different roles. Will Still, who made waves with Reims, or Francesco Farioli at Nice and Ajax. These are young managers who didn't follow the traditional path but have shown what's possible. With the right mindset and tactical acumen, David Ancelotti's journey is similar. He's methodical, educated, and respected within coaching circles. He's got a UEFA Pro license, finished top of his class, and has been described as a set piece. Specialist and tactical mastermind. Real Madrid's so-called secret weapon, no less. That's not the kind of praise you throw around lightly. Now, some will say that following in his father's footsteps means he's had an easy ride. But think about it. That shadow can be as much a burden as it is a blessing. Expectations are sky high, and living up to the Ancelotti name is no small feat. Yeah, he's stuck at it, kept learning, kept developing. That shows character. From a Rangers perspective, this could be a chance to tap into that elite football knowledge. Bringing in someone who's been around the likes of Bayern Munich, Napoli, Real Madrid, who understands how top clubs operate, could be transformative. It's not just about tactics on the pitch, it's about raising standards across the board. Training methods, player mentality, preparation, all of it could get a serious upgrade. Of course there are risks. Every appointment comes with its own uncertainties, but the potential reward here is huge. David represents a bold, forward-thinking choice, a chance to step away from the safe, familiar options and take a punt on someone who could genuinely bring fresh ideas and elevate the club to new heights. When we look at the other names floating around, Russell Martin, Danny Röhl, Marco Rose, each has their merits. Danny Röhl, for instance, did a decent job with Sheffield Wednesday considering the resources. Marco Rose has a solid pedigree as well, but none of them carry the intrigue and potential upside that David Ancelotti brings. It's a wild card eye, but sometimes you need to roll the dice to break free from mediocrity. And let's not kid ourselves, this season has been a shambles. The fans are fed up with the revolving door of managers' false dawns and underwhelming performances. We need a fresh start, a clear vision, and someone who can command respect from both the dressing room and the boardroom. Appointing David Ancelotti would signal a serious intent to modernize, to think bigger. It's not about hiring a Rangers man for the sake of sentiment. It's about finding the best person for the job. Someone who can restore pride, bring back a winning mentality, and take the club forward. So either links to David Ancelotti are exciting. They spark the imagination. And while it's still all rumors and whispers, the possibility alone is enough to get people talking. Whether you're for it or against it, one thing's for certain. Rangers need a change, and they need it now. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But for now, I want to hear what you think. Could David Ancelotti be the man to lead Rangers back to glory? Or is it a gamble too far? Drop your thoughts below. Let's have a proper debate about it. Now, lads, let's be honest here. The mere fact we're even having this conversation shows how far the expectations at Rangers have slipped in recent years. Back in the day, we wouldn't be talking about taking a chance on a young, unproven coach, no matter who his da was. But times have changed. Scottish football's changed. And Rangers, unfortunately, have found themselves playing catch-up far too often. The truth is the modern game demands more than just a big name or a link to the club's history. Tactics, man management, sports science, data analysis. All these things are part and parcel of building a successful side now. And if we're being brutally honest, some of the recent appointments at Ibrox have fallen well short in those areas. We've seen it. We've lived through it. The frustration of watching a team lacking identity, lacking a plan, getting outplayed. By sides we should be brushing aside. That can't continue. David Ancelotti might not have the managerial experience some fans crave, but what he does bring is exposure to the elite level. Working day in, day out at clubs like Real Madrid teaches you things you can't learn managing in the lower leagues. It's a different world. Dealing with world-class players, navigating egos, handling the relentless pressure of having to win every single week. That's the kind of environment that forges top managers. And some will still argue that being an assistant is not the same as being the man in charge. Fair. But think about how many successful managers started out in similar roles. Mikel Arteta under Guardiola at Man City. He was criticized too. Folks said he was just Pep's clipboard holder. Now look at him at Arsenal, turning them into genuine Title contenders. You learn by being in the right environment. You absorb, you adapt, you develop your own ideas. David's been part of backroom staffs where attention to detail is everything, from fitness regimes to set-piece routines, from tactical flexibility to in-game management. These are precisely the areas where Rangers have been lacking. We've struggled to impose ourselves, struggled to break down stubborn defenses, struggled to adapt mid-game. Bringing in someone who's lived in that high-performance culture could be the shot in the arm we desperately need. Now, let's not kid ourselves, there's no magic wand here. Appointing Ancelotti Jr. wouldn't guarantee trophies. There's always a bedding period, especially with a young manager. But maybe, just maybe, that's what we need. Someone hungry. Someone with something to prove, someone who sees his job not as a stepping stone, but as an opportunity to build their own legacy. And you know what? From the club's point of view, it would be a smart move. Imagine the headlines. Imagine the attention. It sends a message that Rangers are thinking big again, looking to align with the best practices in world football. It tells potential signings that this is a club with ambition, not just content with domestic scraps, but aiming to compete on a bigger stage. Of course, there'll always be the Rangers man brigade, the ones who believe only someone steeped in the club's history can understand what it means to manage here. And while that sentiment is understandable, it's also limiting. Passion is vital, but so is competence. So is vision. You need both. We can't afford to keep going round in circles appointing familiar faces with familiar failings. Barry. Ferguson's a prime example of that mindset. His recent comments reflect a frustration, maybe even bitterness that he's not being considered seriously. But as harsh as it sounds, football's a results-driven business. And Barry's managerial results just haven't been good enough. That's the cold, hard truth. It's not personal. It's about standards. And the standard at Rangers should be nothing less than excellence. When you're managing a club like Rangers, you're judged by silverware, by performances in Europe, by how you handle the unique pressure of this job. It's relentless. You gotta be mentally bulletproof, tactically astute, and capable of inspiring a dressing room week after week. Not everyone's cut out for that. Having been a great player doesn't guarantee you'll be a great manager. History's full of examples proving that. That's why this potential Ancelotti appointment is so intriguing. It's different. It's bold. It's a calculated risk, sure, but one with a potentially massive upside. Imagine the knowledge he's soaked up from his father, one of the most decorated managers in football history. Imagine the modern methodologies he'd bring from his experiences at top clubs across Europe. This could be the injection of fresh ideas we've been crying out for. Another point worth noting is the connection with players. Modern footballers aren't like the hard-nosed veterans of old, managing personalities, understanding player psychology, creating a positive environment. These are crucial skills now. Ancelotti's known for his calm demeanor, his ability to build trust with players. If his son's anything like that, it could be a massive asset in handling the current squad and attracting new talent. And let's not forget the contacts. Having the Ancelotti name opens doors. It could mean access to loan deals, collaborations, even influence in the broader footballing network. That's not to be sniffed at. Rangers have to be smart, leveraging every possible advantage to bridge the gap domestically and in Europe. Now, looking at the wider picture, we've seen clubs benefit from thinking outside the box. Look at what Ange Postecoglou did at Celtic. Hardly anyone knew who he was when he arrived. There was plenty of skepticism. Fast forward, and he left having built a formidable team playing attractive football and winning silverware. Different background, unconventional route, but it worked. Could David Ancelotti be Rangers' version of that? It's impossible to say for sure, but dismissing him outright because of inexperience feels short-sighted. Football's changing. The clubs that adapt innovate and aren't afraid to take calculated risks are the ones that thrive. At the end of the day, the decision will come down to the board's ambition. Do they want to play it safe? Go for a name that ticks the traditional boxes, but might not move the needle? Or do they want to be bold, embrace a modern approach, and aim higher? That's the real question. So to wrap this up, this isn't about romance nostalgia or giving someone a job because they once wore the shirt. It's about what's best for Rangers Football Club. About finding a manager who can restore pride, deliver results, and take the club forward in a sustainable, progressive way. Whether that's David Ancelotti or someone else, the criteria should be clear. competence, vision, and a relentless desire to win. Anything less, and we're just spinning our wheels again. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Are you excited by the prospect of Ancelotti Jr. at the helm? Do you see him as the bold appointment we need, or is it too much of a gamble for you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going, because this next appointment is absolutely crucial for the future of our club. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Former Rangers boss Steven Gerrard has reportedly stirred the pot once again in Scottish football, taking aim at Celtic while showering praise on his former club. In comments that have set tongues wagging across the country, Gerrard didn't hold back as he allegedly criticized the Hoops' recent performances and managerial choices, while reaffirming his deep admiration for the blue side of Glasgow. While not yet officially confirmed, several close sources suggest Gerrard made biting remarks about Celtic's lack of consistency and questioned whether the club still has the hunger to dominate domestically. His words, though off the record, have sparked furious debate among fans and pundits alike. Many see it as the latest chapter in the ongoing rivalry between the two Glasgow Giants, a rivalry Gerrard knows all too well during his time in charge. Of Rangers, Gerrard famously ended Celtic's 9-in-a-row dream, guiding Rangers to an unbeaten league title in the 2020-21 season. It was a campaign that many regard as one of the most significant in the club's recent history. Gerrard, who has never hidden his loyalty to the Light Blues, is said to have referred to that season as the standard Celtic still haven't managed to reach again. He also reportedly claimed that Rangers remain the heart and soul of Scottish football, comments that are unlikely to go down well in the East End of Glasgow. With Celtic currently navigating a turbulent patch of form, some believe Gerrard's remarks may be well timed to rattle the green half of the city even further. While the ex-Liverpool captain now manages in Saudi Arabia, his influence in Scotland clearly hasn't waned. If anything, his voice still carries weight among Rangers supporters, and his jabs at Celtic will only cement his legacy with the Ibrox faithful. Whether the remarks were intentional mind games or simply honest opinion, one thing is certain: Gerrard still bleeds blue. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.